Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week, Jeff Glover and his coaches will dive deep into the questions that you are asking. They understand the challenges you are facing on a day-to-day basis and still work every day on the front lines of real estate, with Jeff and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. In today's episode, Jeff will interview a top producer and 10-year vet, Brian Tercero from Santa Fe, New Mexico. We will learn from Jeff and Brian his transformation that so many agents fail at and how he overcame the challenges in transitioning from tech world to real estate. Now let's hear from Jeff and Brian.
All right. Hey, welcome everybody. We are going to have some fun this morning. I've got top producer Brian Tercero joining us all the way from Santa Fe, New Mexico. How does one, first of all, Brian, before we jump in, how does one end up in Santa Fe, New Mexico?
Well, for me, I was born and raised here, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love my city, and it's a great place to visit.
Yeah, I bet. So, I mean, people are complaining about the weather in Michigan this summer being that like this is one of the hottest summers we've had in a long time. Yeah. For us, if we have like 5 days above 90 degrees, it's like a big deal, and everyone like wonders why things are so hot here. I got to ask, what is the weather in Santa Fe, New Mexico on a day like today?
Well, this morning, it's lovely. We had a good rain last night. We're probably in the mid 70 range. And we reach 80s today. It'll be good. So when the rains kick in, it's nice and cool. Santa Fe is known for its weather.
And I hear that it's a dry heat. Is that right?
Dry heat. So your clothes don't stick to you. It's pretty nice.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump in. For those that don't know Brian, you've been in the business how long?
Been in the business for 10 years, Jeff.
10 years. Awesome. And what did you do before real estate?
Before real estate, I was an internet geek. I was a technology guy and working in the real estate industry, helping agents out with computers, things like that. So jumped from technology into sales.
It's so interesting because for those that have been doing this for a long time, every real estate office has the technology geek, if you will. Yep. And it's so interesting because they're usually really good at what they do. But I never usually look at them and think, oh man, that guy or that gal would make a great real estate salesperson, right? They're probably not too often getting tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, have you ever thought about getting your real estate license? So somebody saw something in you, huh?
It was actually a couple of my leaders at the company, Keller Williams. Judy Camp was one of them, and another lady, her name was Mary Schroeder. They both encouraged me I needed to be doing something else than sitting behind a computer fixing machines for a living.
Well, I love that you share that because honestly, Brian, there are so many, I'll just use the term techies in the industry today that really struggle becoming a salesperson because they're so used to doing it one way, following a procedure, no gray area, right? And sales is almost the opposite. So it's kind of interesting. Same thing, through the years in the business, we've worked with a lot of engineers and former business professionals that are high analyticals and or people that come from the technical world, if you will, to where everything is very systematic and methodical and specific and precise, which is like the opposite of real estate. So I got to imagine the first few years for you had to have been real tough.
It was really hard to adjust. I'm not going to lie. When I got into real estate, I had a hard time telling people I'm a realtor. Saying that, shifting from 10 years of college and technology and really owning that label and shifting over into this other world. Yeah. It took some adjusting. No joke.
You know that is what you just said. I had a hard time just telling people that I'm a realtor. You understand that, and there's going to be people that end up watching this later, depending on how many chime in now. People that came from other industries, specifically corporate, have a real tough time getting over the fact. They feel like it's a step back. They feel like it's beneath them. It's kind of like this used car salesperson type of thing. And so you're not alone in saying that. I know that there's a lot of people that are going to relate to that statement. And so how did you finally overcome that? I'm curious because I've met so many people, honestly, Brian, that actually never overcome that. And that ends up being their demise in the industry because they don't accept the fact that they're a salesperson. They don't want to buy into that idea. So how did you overcome that?
Well, that's a good question. I think one of the main things was personal development was huge in my life at the time, and it still continues to be. And one thing that stuck with me when I decided to get into real estate was to burn the boats. That idea that there's no going back. I made a decision during the Great Recession, 10 years ago during the crash, that I needed to pivot. I needed to do something different, and real estate looked like it had the opportunities that I wanted to go after. So I just made a commitment. I mean, for me, there was no plan B. Real estate was where I was going to hang my hat, and that's just kind of what I did. And I've had to become a different person to be successful.
Those that are watching, and I'm sure you've heard this as well. We've heard the phrase "burn the boats," "burn the ships" before, and number one, it's easier said than done. But number two, that really is one of the major reasons why people who get into this business end up failing, especially with part-time agents or agents that have this idea. And I'm sure you see this in your real estate office. You meet people, you see the new guy coming in. Oh yeah, he's enthusiastic and energetic, and he's going to take over the world selling real estate. Yeah. And then you say, so when do you start? And they say, well, I'm still working my other job right now, and I'm doing this kind of part-time. I'm doing this in the afternoons, or I'm doing this in the weekends, or I'm doing this whatever. And I don't know about you, but I know my initial thought is, oh my gosh, no, you're not going to make it with that mentality, because you have an option. When things get tough in real estate, when you get told no 100 times, you have a choice, and that is to go back to what you were doing, right?
Pretty much.
And by the way, that's why most people end up finding another career or failing out of the business, because you have to remove that option. You have to remove that other choice.
Yeah.
As painful as it becomes. So 10 years in the business, fast forward to this year, 2020. Number one, how did you first learn of us? I mean, obviously we know, for those watching, Brian's a client of ours, but when did you first start following us? How did you hear Glover U?
So I love to learn systems from everywhere that I can. And I've been a fan of you and what you've been doing with your coaching organization for some time. I've been following you and what you've been doing for a couple of years, probably. And I was at a point in my business where I felt like I just needed a little bit of a push. Yeah. And I've been in coaching before, wasn't, at the beginning of 2020. And really this whole COVID thing just, threw me for a loop personally. I have a family. I have four kids, two in high school, and two in elementary. And so this whole COVID thing really tripped us up a little bit, figuring out how to manage teaching at home and all of that. So I needed a push, and Justin sort of came on my screen, and he was one of your coaches, and he was pitching a listing boot camp, and it's like, hey, I want to jump in there for the accountability, and it's been pretty good.
So a couple things on that, and I'm sure my staff is in the back laughing, because I was hoping you'd say you learned of us through the Glover Gazette. Do you subscribe to that? Do you get the Gazette?
I do not get the Glover Gazette. No.
Oh my gosh. How are you kidding me? We spend so much on that. I'm like, I promise we're going to get results from it. People are going to read it, anyway. So that's okay. We're going to make sure you get a copy now. Cool. And so anyway, so it's just kind of an inside joke, but no, I hear what you're saying about COVID hit, and it definitely discouraged a lot of people. It definitely impacted a lot of people, and it definitely created a lot of uncertainty. And so in times of uncertainty, naturally, what do people do? They look for some form of security. They look for some form of consistency. And, like yourself, many people reached out to us, obviously, and said, hey, I need some help getting through this. So talk to me about what program did you take, and when did you take it, and what was that like for you?
So what I did is I wanted to focus on listings. And so I jumped into one of your listing boot camps. And, we started getting off the ground in April. And I want to say, by mid-April, May, we were already making calls and, reaching out to potential prospects. Yeah. So it just really built momentum from April.
Yep. And are these things that you weren't doing before? I would imagine that normally when agents take a program, two things happen. If it's a good program anyways, number one, you learn some new stuff and you say, all right, well, it was worth it just with the new stuff I learned. And number two, you hear some of the repeat stuff, things that you've heard before, but because there's structure, because there's accountability, because there's a system, you end up taking more action when you're in a program like that. Would you say that that was your experience, or tell me?
Yeah, that definitely. So I've studied lots of expired scripts and all those programs in the past, and really, this was for me. It was information that I have learned before, but the way it was presented was excellent, and it's the accountability. It's being in that group setting, it's being on a team, and it's pushing each other to make our calls, and that was huge.
Yeah. So often agents underestimate the value in accountability and structure. See, it's amazing to me. You see so many agents sign up for new programs or new products because they want content, right? Everyone wants content. Everyone's like, send me your notes. Send me your notes. You know, you see the people on Facebook all the time. Who wants my notes? Drop your email. And everybody wants everyone's notes. But at the end of the day, if you're not in an actual system that's helping you implement everything in those notes, then how much value do the notes really have?
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is getting the knowledge of the system or of the scripts or of the tools was important, but most of it was the structure and accountability.
Exactly. Implementation, all these education, there's webinars every single day for free, but it's about getting the information and having the accountability to actually implement it and bring it forth.
Let's talk about results for a second. So you started the year a little slow, as many people did due to COVID. Tell us how the year has gone for you.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, we were probably about eight to 10 deals closed, right around 3 million in volume. And, just COVID hit and we just sort of trailed off. I mean, we just sort of came to a complete stop, jumped into the boot camp, get back into rhythm, back in momentum. And now we're rocking and rolling. I mean, we have about 10 deals under contract right now, about 3.7 million in volume pending. Yep. And then the new listings are coming online. Several of those from calls that we made, and others just from prospecting. One of the cool things, Jeff, is that when just getting back into this routine, the prospecting sort of just brings other business. When you talk to an expired call, they may not want to sell, but then something else happens. You're in the right place at the right time because you're in action, and boom, there's another opportunity. So, we're making progress. We're going to finish the end of the year strong.
Well, what I think is really cool about the program that you're in, and by the way, the actual program is Prospecting Boot Camp with Glover U coach Justin Ford. What's great about the program that you're in, Brian, is not only are you laying a great foundation for yourself, but I tell agents this all the time, especially the ones that are hungry and want to grow to more than just say 20 or 30 deals a year. You're arming yourself with information that you can now turn around and teach your people how to do. And there's a lot of power in that. Brian, I meet a lot of top agents from around the country that, and we're not complaining, but they say, Jeff, can I hire you guys to coach our team? Can I hire your team to coach our ISAs? Can I hire your team to coach my agents on how to make, how to become a better salesperson or how to become a better prospector? And my response is always this, Brian. Instead of hiring us to teach your ISAs, which, by the way, we love the business, we'll take it. I would rather you hire us personally so we can teach you how to master the material, and you'll never have to hire us again, because then you can turn around and teach your own people. But what does everyone want to do? Everyone wants the easy way out. Oh, no. I don't need to learn how to become a salesperson. I've been doing this 20 years. Or I don't need to learn how to become a salesperson. I sold 110 homes last year, with our team of 75 people, right? They got it all figured out, where instead, don't hire us to train your ISAs. Don't hire us to train your outside salespeople. Hire us to train you so you can turn around and take the manual, the material, the role plays, the accountability, the structure, and you can teach people for life and continue to grow, right? Does that make sense, Brian?
It makes a ton of sense. And for me, I'm on the path to build a team, a top producing team in Santa Fe. And one of the things I want to do is master listings and sort of my path. I came from buyers, mastered that, having a team in place, managing the buyers, and I want to master listings. And that's, I sort of found, your coaching program specifically for that, because I want to do this at a high level for a couple of years before moving on to next.
Yep, that's right. And that's what we're known for. We are known for teaching people how to dominate listings in their market, period. Do we help people generate more buyer sales? Sure. Do we help them with conversion strategies on converting buyer leads into serious buyers? We sure do. But the number one reason why people sign up for anything to work with us, Brian, is to master listings. And do you want to know why that is?
Because you guys are doing it.
Because we're doing it. Yeah. Right. Because we're on the ground every single day, including Justin Ford, who was your coach in the program. And I mean, he's on the ground. You see his numbers. I mean, he's probably taken 15, 16, 12 listings a month, just himself personally.
Yeah,
so
he's
for him to turn around and say, hey, guys, this is what I'm doing. There's a lot of value in that. Great.
Absolutely.
Well, so when the year is over this year, where do you think you'll end up when you look back and say, yeah, 2020 ended up being a successful year? What do you think those numbers will look like?
So, at the beginning of the year, I was shooting for 50 units and, obviously behind the curve, half beginning of the year, but we're on track now. I mean, if we just keep this pace up, we'll get to 50 units. And I'm shooting for between 20 to 25 million. 50 units is sort of where we're headed. And just putting the things in place and building the accountability. That's huge, especially now with most of us working from home. I have a young team. All of us have families with young kids. So we're all figuring it out. And, this real estate's part of our life and our families. That's why we're doing it for. So got to find that balance and just keep rolling.
Well, Brian, I appreciate you sharing your success story, and I wish you success for the rest of the year. I know you're going to take what you learned and continue implementing it. If by chance anyone that ends up watching this says, if they were to reach out to you, and we're not necessarily going to encourage them to do so because you got a lot of things going on. By the way, if you've got referrals for Brian, Santa Fe, New Mexico, he's your guy. If someone were to reach out to you and ask you the question, what's the number one reason why I should sign up for this program? What would your response be?
I think it's the camaraderie, it's the accountability, and it's like you said, it's a structure, it's a system, and the routines that you get into, the repetition, the script, learning the scripts, writing them out, all those things, and then plus you're going to meet, a good group of producers from all around the country that you get to connect with and work with, and that's huge. To push each other to get better.
Yeah, well, I love that reason. And I love hearing that reason because that we talk about that constantly between our coaches and our head coach. We're constantly looking at, okay, besides for great content, what is going to make our material effective? And it's literally everything you just mentioned right there. The community, the camaraderie, the structure, the accountability, the be able to connect with each other. So important stuff. Well, hey, if anybody is interested, our next prospecting boot camp starts on Monday. By the way, Brian, that our prospecting boot camp is one of our lowest cost programs at $375 a month, right? And as you know, you were in there for 4 months. Our next session starts on Monday. So for anyone that's watching this at any point in time, you've got just a few days to get signed up. If you're curious or you want someone to reach out to you and give you more information, just drop your email in the comments here. Just throw your email down there. Someone from our team will see it and we will reach out to you, or you can always email us directly at info@gloveru.com. That's info@gloveru.com. The next prospecting boot camp starts on Monday with proven coach on the ground with you, Coach Justin Ford. And as you can see, Brian got a lot out of the program working with Justin as well. So any last words, Brian?
Thank you. I'm grateful for what you guys are doing. It was a huge help, and Justin's an amazing coach. Highly recommend him.
Good. Well, hey, thank you for joining us this morning. And if we got anybody for Santa Fe, you're our guy. All right, Brian?
Send him down here to good weather.
There you go. All right. We'll see you. Go have a successful day.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on having an unreal business, take the real estate self-assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify and subscribe today. Until next time, remember.
So often agents underestimate the value in accountability and structure. See, it's amazing to me. You see so many agents sign up for new programs or new products because they want content, right? Everyone wants content. Everyone's like, send me your notes, send me your notes. But at the end of the day, if you're not in an actual system that's helping you implement everything in those notes, then how much value do the notes really have?